everybody, it's that special time of the week again. It's time for another installment of Cape TV. As always, I'm your TV watching host, Cape Joel, and joining me this week is...
Matt.
Hey, Matt, what's up?
Pretty cool. I'm doing pretty cool. I don't live in Trump land, so I'm doing all right.
But dumb tish, Cape TV with that political commentary. You know what? There's a lot of great marches going on this week for a lot of good causes, and you know what else was good this week, Matt? TV. A lot of shows were really strong this week, wouldn't you agree?
I would wholeheartedly agree.
I guess we can start things off with the real big network superhero show, the one that came back last week and is now heading into the next part of the LMD storyline. That was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4, Episode 9, Broken Promises. And?
I thought this week's episode was episode 10.
Pardon? I thought it was episode 9. I could be wrong. I could be full of shit. I don't claim to know anything.
I think it is because I think the episode was called The Patriot.
Was it?
I think.
Oh, fuck me. Broken Promises was like... You know what it is? You know what it is, Matt? I just noticed. I think I'm looking at my notes from last week. Yeah, I'm looking at my notes from last week. Fuck me. I'm wrong. God damn it. I'm really sorry if you're listening to this show for the first time, everybody. I promise I'm not this much of an idiot, but that's why Matt's here. This is why a good co-host like Matt is completely and utterly, a must-have in the podcasting game. So thank you, Matt, for keeping me on track, and this is actually episode 10, The Patriot. Yeah, I thought that wasn't right. So The Patriot, what did you think, Matt?
I thought it was a really strong episode, and just the week before, we were saying how our... Director Mace isn't all he seems, and he's probably not an Inhuman. And guess what? He's not an Inhuman.
Turned out to be right within the span of like an episode. That ended up being right. Go figure. He's a druggie, is what he is. He uses a super soldier serum, or technically a serum derived from the Mr. Hyde formula, which I thought was a really nice touch to bring back Daisy's dad for a minute.
Yeah, that was really cool, keeping everything in house and everything.
Mm-hmm. We get a cool little story of him and Mac and Coulson getting stranded out in the woods and getting hunted by some ex-Hydra guys who are now current Watchdog guys.
Yeah, I like that they're holed up in the cabin in the woods.
Yeah, it's literally a cabin in the woods. You think this is a Joss Whedon show or something?
Yeah, I wonder why.
It's a little like that. It's funny too, to see, Director Mace, who usually has been so on top in every other episode, for him to lose his drugs, for him to get shot, and for him to really get messed up, essentially.
Yeah, he kind of falls apart this episode when he doesn't have everything he needs.
Mm-hmm, most definitely. And it's funny too, we kind of get to see in many ways the return of Director Coulson this episode, because now he's kind of got to be the one in charge. He's got to be the one to, run the operation.
Yeah, I think that what they're going to do now is they're going to leave Mace as sort of the face of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
As the one who sort of deals with like the paparazzi, the media, that sort of stuff. And Coulson will be the one who's actually the director and running everything behind the scenes.
I think we eventually had to come back here at some point, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely.
There was also a lot of stuff going on with the Maybot, the Mayborg, the LM May, whatever you want to call it, who's running around S.H.I.E.L.D. now basically unchecked. I like that, Dr. Radcliffe, he had ideas in place for what to do with this robot, but now his plans kind of seem to be spiraling out of control for a little bit. He's kind of losing control of the situation.
Yeah, everything's kind of getting away from him, and they're going rogue as they usually do, these AIs that kill people.
Jeez, have you not watched a movie in the last 30 years?
Did you not see what happened to Ultron?
For real, man. You would think you would be all about that. But yes, some interesting stuff going on with this. I know on a shipper note of things, I know some people brought up, Coulson, he's getting a lot closer to the Maybot than he ever got to the real May, so much to the point that even Daisy is like, hey, did something happen while I was away between you two?
Yeah, it's definitely really interesting. I'm intrigued to see what he's going to do when he finds out that it's a robot, or even if he does.
Imagine if he has sex with that robot. Imagine what that will do to the show. Like, that could be a shark jumping moment if they don't play that right. Hey, remember when Coulson fucked the Maybot? That would be
That'd be great.
something. That would be something. I tell you. I'm not saying it would be good. I'm not saying it would be bad. I'm saying it would be something. Is what it would be. I think we can all agree too. This episode saw the return of Talbot, and holy shit, did he steal this show? I did not think he could be so funny.
Yeah, he's been really funny in the last couple of appearances he's been in, and it's that kind of like that dry
Oh yeah.
humor that's not humor. He think he's doing it seriously and everything, which is really great. A really great contrast to all the other characters
Who are just ha ha funny. He's funny, strange, yelling at people to get his coffee. He's got like the presidential march for his ringtone.
Yeah, yeah.
I laughed so hard at that, and then I thought to myself, I'm like, oh, I guess the presidents changed, didn't they, from last time we saw him? Ooh, I'm glad this show doesn't exist in the real world and doesn't have to acknowledge that. That would be a little much, but yeah, I mean, all in all, this was a fun episode. Oh, we didn't even talk about the opening. There was a really great opening where Daisy and everyone else they thwart an assassination attempt.
Yeah, that was a really cool, really action-heavy opener, which I really liked it. It was really great, better than some of the other openers they've had.
With the exploding bullets and everything, which actually, I don't know if you thought of this, Matt. I know I certainly thought of them like, crazy exploding bullets. Those remind me of like the bullets that dig into you from Luke Cage. Wouldn't it be funny if they revealed later on?
They are the exact same ones.
Are they? Oh, shit.
Yeah, the Judas bullets.
Isn't that a little interesting, Matt? It used to be TV Marvel and Netflix Marvel didn't seem to get along all that much, but now we're seeing a little bit more crossover. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think it was referenced even earlier on as well, because Hydra or like whoever's running the Watchdogs found weapons in New York or something, like a New York weapons catch or something. So yeah.
Interesting. This is funny. You think of that, and then you think of the fact that both Matt Murdock and Daisy are from the same orphanage, and it's like, hey, there's at least two good little connectors.
Yeah, it's the little things.
Yeah, just the little things that are crossing it over. And now if they can all just cross over with the movies more, we'll be laughing, right?
Oh, that'd be great.
All we need is Captain America being like, oh, you got the name of a good lawyer? I sure do. Yeah, you're like that one lady who can create earthquakes. But yeah, I mean, any parting thoughts on this one before we move on? We actually got a hell of a lot of stuff to cover this week.
Not really. It was a great second episode to the season coming back, and I hope it keeps up the momentum.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've heard some people say that they're not exactly digging the LMD thing. I'm personally for it.
Yeah, I think it's mainly because like we like killer robot stories.
We do. It's a taste thing. It's a very comic book thing. LMDs.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's literally since season 1 we've been saying, but when are they going to get to the life model decoys?
Yeah, and we're finally here.
And also too, and I can't blame people for this. I think anything after that Ghost Rider arc was going to seem like a step down.
That was a pretty good arc.
Like, it's so good, it's like, when's the Ghost Rider show happening? Like, seriously, I'm sure they're working on that right now to try and give Gabriel Luna his own spin-off.
Oh, that'd be great.
Which, shit, I'd watch the adventures of Robbie Ghost Rider every week. It would make up for the fact that the comic has been really lackluster recently ever since they brought it back.
Yeah.
So moving on from the robots of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to British detectives, Matt. This week, technically last week, as we record this show on a Saturday, and this came out Sunday, although a little before that because it got leaked out too. Sherlock, Season 4, Episode 3, The Final Problem. Aptly named episode because holy shit did they treat this like this was the final episode ever.
Yeah, and it goes like with what we were saying last week with how the show's pretty fast and loose with when they film and release and everything. So technically, this could be seen as the final ever episode of Sherlock.
I don't know where they would go after this. They really seemed like they left it all out on the table on this one. It's funny, I'm sure you've seen this video, Matt, if you're a fan of Honest Trailers. When they did their Honest Trailer of Sherlock, they mentioned something I never considered before, and they said, hey, Sherlock, it's the show that makes you think it's a detective show, but in reality it's a superhero show, with a guy with incredible abilities, a sidekick, and colorful villains. And oh my god, was this the most superhero-feeling episode I think they've ever done.
Oh yeah, definitely. It really did feel like a superhero episode.
We have an evil, long-lost sibling
Yeah.
A
Yep.
super black site prison that might as well be Arkham Asylum. The evil villain has mind powers. The evil villain here is basically Purple Man, and I love they just throw that out there. Where it's like, ah, yes, Eero, she can reprogram anyone she talks to, and I'm like, really?
Yeah, they didn't really sort of stop and explain that. Like the show's been pretty realistic with its portrayal of villains who are just basically really smart people, and then they're like, hey, yeah, she can reprogram your mind and make you think what you want to think, and
Yep.
you use Jedi mind tricks on you.
Yeah, apparently everyone in the Sherlock family actually has superpowers we didn't know of, because Mycroft even says, "Oh yes, I've been able to edit your memories before, Sherlock." And I'm like, "Whoa, wait, you can do that? You can edit people's memories? What? Since when?"
Oh, he imported Sherlock's memory into Premiere Pro and just
Ah,
started cutting it up and everything.
ooh, I put a nice filter on it. I upped the contrast just a little bit, but yeah. So they spend. This is kind of like a bottle episode in a way, because they go to this secret, crazy black site prison, and they fight the third Sherlock sibling, who turns out to be a woman, and they finally answer the questions about Moriarty and those mysterious, "Did you miss me?" messages.
Yeah, I am actually really glad that he didn't somehow become alive again.
Me
I'm
too.
glad that they kept him dead and that he recorded all those videos before he died.
Yeah, they kind of had their cake and eat it too in the perfect way, where it's like, yes, he's gone, but he's still sort of messing with you from beyond the grave at the same time. And I'm like, that is a very Moriarty supervillain move. I appreciate that.
Yeah, they didn't jump the shark.
No, no, they didn't jump the shark on that one. It would be something where it's like, oh, I cloned myself or some shit, or like, oh, that was a lookalike. There's like a dozen really dumb ways they could have gone
Yeah,
about that.
I had Eurus reprogram someone else's mind to be mine or something.
Be like, what is it, like Batman Beyond Return of the Joker? Like, oh, I've existed inside a chip all along inside Watson, and now I can take over him whenever I want. But yeah, I mean, to bring it back to Batman, and I was literally Sherlock, Mycroft, and Watson. Our three main heroes of the episode are essentially put through. They're put through Riddler trials, is what they're put through. They need to solve super advanced problems that relate in one way or another to Sherlock's own life, and if they don't, a little girl in a plane is going to crash and die.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. It was very Riddler-esque and kind of like a Saw film in a way. They
Oh
move from
yeah.
room to room, sort of thing, which I really liked. And the puzzles were really cool as well.
Yeah, they were mind benders in a way, and again, it was like, some were meant to hurt your body, some were meant to hurt your soul. I mean, I think the standout one has to be, to solve a puzzle, he has to call Molly, the woman who's had a crush on Sherlock all throughout the series, but he's just, abused and tossed away every time. And the test is very simple. You need to get this woman, who you've been honey dicking essentially since episode 1, to say that she loves you. Can you do it, Sherlock?
Yeah, that was actually a really powerful scene.
It
That
was,
whole
right?
that whole thing.
It was
Yeah.
it was tenser than any of the violent murder ones. I was sitting there, I had the blanket up to my face. I'm like, oh no, can he do it? I was like watching it through my fingers, like, oh, this is harsh. That's harsher than the, oh, you gotta kill your brother or you gotta kill your friend. You can only kill one or the other. What will you do? And Sherlock very intelligently, like, ha ha ha. There's always a third answer to this. I could kill myself.
Yep.
And did,
Yep.
and did you notice when he put the gun to shoot himself, he did it in the exact same way that Moriarty did when he shot himself?
Yep. I did notice that.
I thought that was a nice little touch. I'm like, ooh, well, you're more like your foe than you think. But the real mystery of this episode, and I think the strength of the twist of this one, and yes, we will be discussing the twist on here, so if you haven't seen it, please go back and finish it, because I think it was genuinely really well done. The twist in the mystery was not about the girl in the plane. It was not even really about the sister. The mystery that Sherlock had to solve in this episode was the mystery that they have literally been building since like the first season, and that is about his dog Redbeard. And I'm like, holy shit, they actually made that the crux of what might be the final episode.
Yeah, they brought it back, and It was a big twist. I didn't see it coming.
No, neither did I. First and foremost, they answer a dangling question that I've been asking since season 3, and that is, how the hell did Moriarty know about his childhood dog? They answer that question. And then they
Yep.
move on further to be like, yeah, Redbeard the dog, Sherlock's only friend, his only companion, his one, like, little connection to being human and everything. Turns out Redbeard wasn't a dog at all.
No, it was his other brother.
Yeah. Well, no, it was his friend, I think it was.
Really?
Yeah, they say he had a different last name.
Oh, okay. I thought they kind of implied that it was like his other brother, like a step brother or something.
Yeah, I thought
something.
that too. I thought that because he has red hair is the thing. He's red hair.
Yeah.
That's why. Thus the name Redbeard. That's why they went with it. But yeah, that was his other friend. That was his proto Watson, if you want to call it that. And because that friend died and went missing, Sherlock kind of cut himself off from the rest of the world and didn't allow himself to have friends or anything, and kind of went inside himself until John got him out of it. And I'm like, oh wow, that's a hell of a twist, is what that is.
Yeah, it was really great.
Yeah, they even do a bit of like a 007 Skyfall, where the last little bit of the episode actually takes place at the old Sherlock summer home.
Yeah, it was definitely very Skyfall.
Yeah, it was totally Skyfall. I'm like, oh Jesus, is Benedict Cumberbatch gonna have to go around and make a bunch of Home Alone traps? It didn't come to that, but I would totally have been. I wouldn't have been surprised if that's where they went with it. And yeah, really, once this is done, they wrap up pretty much everything. They wrap up like almost every damn hanging plot point that you can think of. We even see Sherlock and Mycraft's parents again, which we saw them for like a minute in another episode.
Yeah, that was really weird seeing that Sherlock has parents.
Yeah, well, it's funny because if you remember the first time they introduced them in the show, it was part of a bit. You thought they were people coming with a mystery to be solved, only to have them leave and be like, oh yeah, that was my mom and dad. You're like, what? Because they were just regular people.
Yeah, yeah.
How do such regular people have such crazy smart children? So yeah, they wrap that up, and yeah, they totally do a Batman and Robin thing, where Sherlock and Watson run out into the night to solve more mysteries, and I'm like, God, the only thing they're missing is like the Sherlock symbol up in the sky.
Well, that's the thing. They get called out for a mystery, and they head out to get the Batmobile, which is just a London taxi.
Na Sherlock. Think about it, it's all there. They're Batman and Robin. Lestrade is their Gordon. Moriarty is their Joker. It's literally all there, guys. It is a superhero show. Well, that was what it was all about.
Well, the thing is, like, wouldn't Batman be the one who's sort of taking reference from them?
That's true. Batman stole it and Sherlock stole it back.
And refined it.
And refined it is what he did. I mean, technically, if you look at Batman, as much as we love him, he's pretty much a ripoff of Sherlock and Zorro and, like, what is it? The Shadow. You put all those together and you have Batman.
Pretty much.
So yeah, that was Sherlock. Maybe the last episode of Sherlock we're going to see for a long time, because it really felt like a last episode.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against if that was just the last episode. It was a great last episode.
They left it in a very good place, I would say, but also left it just open enough that if, Cumberbatch and the other guy get bored, they could always come back and do some.
Oh yeah, totally.
You know what I would be for? I would like some more, like what they did with the Christmas special. I would like more period pieces that are like one and dones that they come back for the holidays.
I wouldn't mind if, like, they don't do any more modern things and then just leave it for that. Just leave it as specials from now on. I wouldn't be against that.
That would be fun. And you don't even have to keep them in Victorian. I don't know if I said this last week, but wouldn't it be fun that they come back and do another period piece, but now it's Sherlock in the 60s in Britain. Now it's Sherlock in the 80s in Britain, and like everyone is a period piece.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, to just do fun shit like that. I would be all for that. So yeah, that was Sherlock the Final Problem. And indeed, it did kind of have some problems where it's in the final episode and apparently a bunch of characters developed superpowers out of nowhere that we didn't know they had. But then again, Sherlock has always kind of been a weird superhero show like that, where smart people can sense each other like, he's near, I can feel him.
Yeah, yeah,
Hannibal did that too, where being a serial killer made you a freaking Sith Lord.
yeah.
So yeah, that was a fun time. That was a fun episode, and I guess from there we can move from the BBC to a galaxy far, far away with Star Wars Rebels Season 3, Episode 15, Trials of the Darksaber. And oh man, Matt, I bet you have a lot to say about this.
Oh, this was a good episode.
Yeah, yeah, wow. Good. I think that's putting it lightly. That last 5 minutes jumped it from being like, wow, this is a really good episode to this is an excellent episode to, okay, this is much watch Star Wars now.
Yeah, during the week, Pablo Hidalgo, the guy responsible for the Star Wars story group, the guy responsible for all the expanded universe stuff, he said that this episode coming up was probably his favorite episode of Rebels ever.
I see why.
And I agree with him. He was not lying or anything. It was absolutely amazing. The whole Darksaber thing. Oh my god.
This was tight. I mean, first and foremost, they open up with some like new continuity talking about the origins of the Darksaber and the first ever Mandalorian Jedi, which I had to ask you this, Matt, is that a thing, like the Mandalorian Jedi, Tiz Vizsla or whatever?
It wasn't, I don't think, in the old universe. I know there was Mandalore, which was like the leader of the Mandalorians, as we've seen him in like Knights of the Old Republic and everything. But I don't think there was a Jedi leader. I can't really remember. It's a part of history I don't really know a lot about.
So until we're corrected, let's just say this is new continuity. The writing, I wanted to say this was new because I remember like IGN or one of the sites being like, "Oh, the first ever Mandalorian Jedi announced or brought into continuity or something." So until we're told otherwise, I'm going to say yes, it was.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it is because it sounds like something I would have heard of.
Yeah.
A Mandalorian Jedi. That sounds like something those people that are in love with Revan or Starkiller would go on about.
It's like a Kryptonian Green Lantern or something. It's
Yeah.
like even if they did nothing, you would know just because they exist. But yeah, we learn about that. We learn about the history of the Darksaber, how it became the symbol of House Vizsla, and basically, if you have that, you have the right to rule, which is why Darth Maul had it because of what went down in Clone Wars when he basically took over all of Mandalore.
Yeah, he used it for evil, whereas that guy who they were talking with, that Mandalorian, says it should be used for good and to unify everyone.
Yeah, that if Sabine, who is part of Clan Vizsla, which we had learned in the Super Trooper episode, that if she's able to do that, then she could easily turn the Mandalorians against the Empire and really help the rebellion out. The only problem is she has no idea how to fight with a lightsaber, let alone a Darksaber.
Yeah, so it's up to Kanan and partly Ezra to teach her.
And it's a tough uphill battle. They do a really good job showing what a different sort of character and combatant Sabine is to Ezra. And also, they really hit on some interesting stuff about Kanan as a teacher, where he really has a tough time teaching her, but with Ezra it was so simple. And she really hurts his feelings at a point by saying, well, wow, Ezra must have been a great student because you're a lousy teacher, Kanan. And that, it's funny because he has no eyes at this point. He wears that visor. But you could tell how hurt he was by that comment because that's so true of Kanan's character. He feels like he is a shit teacher because his teaching, he only ever got like half a Jedi education before Order 66 happened.
Yeah, and also like I see like he was trying to atone for how Ezra was taught by teaching Sabine kind of the right way with the sticks and the different forms and everything, whereas Kanan never taught Ezra that. Really? Yeah. He kind of learnt that after the fact. He got a lightsaber and learnt the Force and everything.
Yeah, he jumped right into it, as it were. We also got some good stuff from Sabine's one and only Mandalorian friend. His name escapes me at the moment, but he was the guy who joined the rebellion by force, but who now is clearly part of the team because he has a brand new costume in Rebel Blue.
Yeah, I like that armor. It looks really cool.
It's a good look. It's like a badass Buzz Lightyear or something.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a really cool episode. I really liked it. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen now with Sabine, who's I guess going to rule Mandalore,
or going to try to at least.
Yeah, maybe Maul will come back and try and vie for power again.
Wouldn't that be something funny? I dig too that by the end of this episode, Sabine has the Darksaber, has two new cool armbands that gives her like the energy whip and the pulsar and everything. Like, oh, now she is really this show's answer to Boba Fett because she got the jetpack. Now she's got all the other tools and gadgets and everything.
Yeah, that whip thing was really cool.
I like she doesn't have the Force, but she has the whip thing so she can pick up her Darksaber with that. I'm like, sweet.
Yeah, that was really cool.
We get to see some more of Sabine's art in this episode, too. She has, like, a fun chibi painting of everyone on the crew of the Ghost above her bed. I liked that.
Yeah, I like Sabine. I like that she's like a graffiti artist and stuff like that.
She's come so far as a character, and I remember you and I were talking about, like, in the early seasons, how we knew the least about her and how her two focus episodes said nothing about her. Really, this episode, they do more to, move her character forward in 5 minutes than the last two seasons did. But they make a good point of it, saying the reason Sabine never talked about herself, the reason we never learned about her family and everything is because she was ashamed in a way. She didn't want people to know about where she came from.
Yeah. As you said, like this episode really progressed her character, like, and a lot of the character centric episodes this season and at the end of last season did really well for the characters as well. I like that they've been getting like one character per episode who gets focused on, and I don't know who's going to be next because we've had like Hera episodes, we've had Kanan and Ezra, we had Zeb episodes. I wouldn't mind another Zeb episode with that Lestat clan that they saved.
Yeah,
not
that's
too
right.
long
There's
ago.
a whole planet of them now. That would be fun. Although we guess we can't really see them again because we never saw them in the original trilogy, so they need to make a point of being like, oh yeah, Zeb was the last one.
Yeah, that's true.
That's always an issue. Another thing I really loved about this episode and why I think it goes into the realm of must-watch Star Wars material now is that it's a whole episode built around lightsaber fighting, but never like it's shown in any of the movies except for like the original trilogy, where they say, yeah, this is lightsaber fighting, but it's about so much more than just swinging lasers at each other. It's about finding your center, finding your focus and everything.
Yeah, what I really appreciated is that they didn't do the whole thing where it's like the prequel fight where they were just flinging these swords around willy-nilly, and they made Kanan actually made a point to say, no, these swords are really heavy and you have to really control them with both hands like they do in the original trilogy, like actual sword fighting.
They talk about all the forms too, which I like. The Jedi lightsaber forms. That's a nice touch for expanded universe fans.
Yeah, especially like I didn't know whether like the original forms that were in the old expanded universe were still going to be canon, and they didn't name them here. They just called them Form 1 and Form 2 and stuff like that. But I like to think that they still are canon.
Yeah, me too. This was a really tight episode from start to finish. This was just a really feel good one, and it ends on such a strong note too, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Where, Sabine just kind of lets it all out on the battlefield in her fight with Kanan, and Kanan really has to try and push her in a way that he never pushed Ezra to, kind of come out of her shell in a way. They even make a point about that, saying, she's an artist, which means she's expressive, but she's wound so tight. She's just like a Mandalorian. And I'm like, yeah, that pretty much is their people as a whole. I dug this one from start to finish. Even if you don't watch Rebels, and I mean seriously, if you don't watch Rebels, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, come on, man.
Check this one out. This is you know how they always say like, oh, this is the Oscar clip. Well, this is the Annie clip. I'm just trying to think, what's the award they give animated shows again? This is the Annie clip right here that they'll show. This is the episode where don't be surprised if Star Wars Rebels wins like a best original animation. This would be the one.
That'd be pretty cool.
And it deserves it. Has Star Wars won any Annie awards yet? That's a good question.
I have no idea.
You would think it would. You would think like the deck for like really good animated shows is pretty small at the moment. I mean, this and Voltron are probably like the only action cartoons I can think of that are on TV right now, and maybe another episode that we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah, there's not a lot of action cartoons on at the moment.
It's kind of a dying breed. They all seem to be comedy, and even shows like the next one we're going to talk about, Justice League Action, despite having action in the title, it's more of a comedy with action on the side.
Yeah, it should be Justice League action comedy.
Yeah, action comedy. Yeah, but then you got too many words, Matt. How much you think you'd have to pay for poster space?
Just like push the words together.
But yes, the next episode we're going to be looking at on our cavalcade of nerdy TV shows we're covering is Justice League Action Season 1, Episode 21. Yes, that's right. We already are 21 episodes into this so far.
Yeah, well, I think that helps because like when they originally started airing, they released like 5 episodes at once or something.
They did, and they're short. They're 11 minutes, so that's actually
Yeah,
that averages out to like about a like 12, like a decent sized one. That are 22 minutes. But this episode was called Field Trip. And oh boy, this one packs a lot of punches just right out of the gate. You see the 3 youngest members of this new TV show, Justice League, Blue Beetle Jaime Reyes, who we've seen featured in other episodes, Firestorm, who we saw featured in previous episodes, and a new character, Stargirl Courtney, a Jeff Johns creation, making her appearance for the first time in Justice League Action.
yeah, and they take a trip to the Fortress of Solitude.
Which, what a fucking awesome field trip that would be. They get to see Superman's awesome extinct species zoo.
Yeah, and his villains like General Zod and his men.
Yeah, who are totally the ones from Superman the movie, which I love. It's Ursa, it's Non, it's all of them. It's none of these movie ones. It's the proper ones.
Yeah, and oh, it's such a good episode.
It was like, it's like, oh my god, the youngest members of the team have to fight General Zod and his men. Fuck, I feel bad
Yeah,
for them.
yeah. If this was in a comic, everyone would be fucked. But because this is an action comedy show, it doesn't pull its punches, but it's definitely a very good show. I like it.
I like, and I'm sure you noticed this too, Matt, in the show's like pared down animation style, and that's what I would call it. It's not a particularly great looking or eye popping show, but it's not trying to be. Don't you love that pared down General Zod just kind of looks like Superman?
Yeah, pretty much. He doesn't have like he's gonna kind of got like the same hair and everything, and
He just kind of looks like Superman. He is the ultimate dark mirror to Superman. So yeah, they end up letting Zod and everyone else out of the Phantom Zone while accidentally trapping Superman inside the Phantom Zone, which shit, most of the time, that's an episode in and of itself. What's Superman doing in the Phantom Zone?
yeah, pretty much that would have been it. I hope we get an episode of that. Like, meanwhile, in the Phantom Zone.
And in the show's clever writing, it's like, well, how does, Zod and Ursa and Non just kill them all right out of the gate? It's because they just came out of the Phantom Zone, and because they're in the fortress, they have no solar radiation to draw upon, so it's actually an even fight for a little bit.
Yeah, it's actually really smart.
Very smart, because it's like, well, geez, why don't they just break their necks right out of the gate? That's why. And then Firestorm, of course, remembers, oh, wait, I'm the nuclear man. I can basically create alchemy. Why don't I just make some kryptonite? Because
guys, this show is smarter than Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
guys,
it is. This comedy show, this Saturday morning cartoon for children, gets these characters better than the live action TV shows do. And he's like, why don't I just create kryptonite? Because kryptonite is difficult to create. That's why.
Yeah, I'm glad they went to the effort to explain that, and unlike a certain other show where Firestorm always forgets he has these amazing godlike powers.
Hell, in the TV show, they almost play him like the genie Firestorm because he's just creating stuff out of nothing. Ooh, now I've got a piece of pizza. Ooh, now I've got a basketball. I have whatever the story needs me to have. We should also probably talk about Stargirl too. What did you think of the fact that they play her up as like a really girly girl? I thought that was an interesting twist because she's not really like that in the comics. But then again, Firestorm isn't a goofball in the comics either.
Yeah, I think it was just like that sort of generalization of the character. Because it's a kid show, you can't really get into it that much.
I guess, and yet in a weird way, I'm actually gonna kind of defend it too, because it's like you think you already got Wonder Woman, you already got all like Zatanna even, and we saw Vixen in another episode too, the one with Brainiac and Plastic Man. It's like these are a lot of very strong-willed, very serious women characters, and that works for them. I kind of like Courtney because she's younger. They went the other way on it. It's like, yeah, she's a superhero, but she's also a teenage girl at the same time, too, in, like, 2017. Maybe she should actually act like a teenage girl, and you can maybe tell stories about her wanting to be more serious and wanting to be more mature in the future. And I'm like, that actually gives you room to grow with the character, and you also have a girl character who can be funny, like Firestorm, if she wants to be. I thought that was a fun place to go with her.
Yeah, it gives you story options for the future, because it'll let the writers do pretty much whatever you want with the character.
Because I'm trying to think of like Stargirl in in the old Justice League cartoon, and she had a couple fun episodes where she was a guest character, but she never really popped like the other ones did.
No, yeah, she was totally just a guest character.
She was a bit of a background player. Now, that being said, she did have some funny lines. Remember the episode where they go to Japan and everyone's all in love with Supergirl in Japan, and Stargirl's like, yeah, well, my stepdad's a mecha. What about that? Because he is. And that's an episode right there. You got Stargirl, who's this like, girly girl teenager. You should have an episode about her stepdad trying to relate to her, and because of that he builds what is essentially an Iron Man suit, and he becomes Stripe, and they become the crime fighting team Stars and Stripes.
See, that's pretty cool.
That's a fucking episode right there. I just pitched you a goddamn episode, Justice League Action. You can't tell me that can't be funny.
I'll tweet the Justice League Action writer, because they actually follow me. I don't know why they follow me, but they do.
That's fucking sweet. Follow me, guys. I like your show. We're giving you the Cape TV bump is what we're giving you. We think your show's sick as hell, and we want to see more of it. And yeah, I mean, I guess with that, that's the bulk of what we talked about this week. Usually I like to make this go to 40 minutes, and we're not quite at 40 minutes yet. You wanna talk about Dragon Ball Z Super? That also came out this week.
I haven't watched the most recent episode.
Okay, it was a Vegeta-focused episode is what it was. It was him and his family.
Was it episode 2?
Yes.
Because I've seen episode 2. I thought you were talking about episode 3.
Okay, see, again, we're in a weird time recording this one because we record it Saturday night. But yeah, the one with Vegeta and his family. I don't have the title up in front of me, but I'll be sure to, through the power of editing, put it on the screen.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool episode. It's definitely a filler episode.
Oh yeah, but here's the thing about Super, and I didn't get to talk about this last week. What I like about Super is that it's much more in line with Akira Toriyama's, like, his brand of humor. I would say it was less a filler episode and more a comedy episode, and I'm fine with a comedy episode, especially when you see Vegeta leave his comfort zone and basically have to go out into the real world and him just not enjoying it.
Oh yeah, comedy works really well with Vegeta, because like as we said with General Talbot in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he plays everything completely straight, and it just works so well with him.
Even funnier, they say that, the reason he's out hanging out with his family and they're going on a little vacation is in reference to him making a promise to Trunks in Dragon Ball Z when they were training that, I'll take you to the theme park if you can land a punch on me. And they even used the clip from Dragon Ball Z to prove they're not making it up.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Again, like referencing the past and everything and making little connections and everything.
And all these years later making good on it, being like, yeah, remember when he said that like a decade ago? Well, guess what? He's making good on it in Super. It's funny, too, to see Vegeta, how he acts as a father, how he's basically just like this bundle of nerves and you think he's going to crack at any moment. To where it's almost like he's an abusive father, but it's clear that Bulma and Trunks are not scared of him in the slightest.
Yeah, I like that, especially like Bulma, who's just essentially just a human being. He's not scared of this all-powerful Saiyan, and just he's just Vegeta.
Maybe the second or third strongest person in the universe. And it's fun, even when Vegeta fucks off at the half point of the episode to be like, I need to get training again. Bulma and Trunks aren't mad at him. They're like, he did pretty good holding out here as long as he did. Bye, Dad. Love you. See you later. You compare that to Goku, who's basically always abandoning his kids and always going off to train. I find that kind of funny. Like, at least Vegeta tries.
Yeah, that's true.
Vegeta, better dad than Goku, confirmed. Just saying. And I didn't mean to make a pun out of that, just saying. I am legit just saying. We also saw some more stuff with Beerus, again, because, in the movie, Beerus just shows up on Earth. Here we actually get to see how he deals with other planets and how he just, walks through their strongest fighters. Yeah,
it's probably going to change as the episodes go on, but like to have like the villain show up at the end of 2 episodes in a row is something kind of unheard of in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Like usually there's like 4 or 5 episodes between seeing the villain.
Yeah,
But here we've
absolutely.
been constantly seeing him. I hope it keeps up as well. We get to see him go from planet to planet and destroy these planets because his food isn't cooked right or something.
I really like Beerus. I think he is the perfect Dragon Ball bad guy because that he's a huge glutton. He loves to eat, much like Goku and indeed Vegeta himself in this episode. He's incredibly powerful, can destroy whole planets, but isn't really evil. He just continually seeks a challenge, and that's his thing. Like he had a dream, he had a vision of being like, oh, someone will challenge me. Someone can actually be a fight that'll last more for a couple minutes. I need to find this person because then I'll feel content, you know?
Yeah, yeah, he's definitely the dark mirror, I guess, to Goku
Mm-hmm.
in that way.
And people have already spoiled it to me too. It's like, oh, if you think Beerus is the dark mirror to Goku, well, wait until
Yeah.
you meet Goku Black later on, who is quite literally, what if Goku became Beerus? What if he became a god of destruction? And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
I've seen pictures of that and everything.
me too. Man, they love going back to the evil Goku well, don't they? Even like Turles in Tree of Might was an evil Goku. Technically, Raditz and Vegeta were evil Gokus for a bit.
Yeah, well, it's like the same thing with like because Goku's really like an allergy for Superman. He's got
Yeah.
Bizarro and all those sorts of villains, there's Zod and everything
Mm-hmm.
that are kind of dark mirrors of himself.
It's true. When you have a character so good and so righteous, and again, it's in that ways that I truly believe Goku is like Superman. He's always got a smile and a joke. He's, never angry about anything. And more often than not, he makes friends out of villains, which I think is kind of amazing.
Yeah, yeah, he never really holds a grudge. When he beats the villain, he's like, "Hey, thanks for the cool fight."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, shit, even Beerus, because at the end of the movie and clearly later on in this series as well, because again, I've seen screenshots and stuff, even Beerus kind of becomes his friend at the end of this.
Yeah, yeah.
He's just hoping he does better than the cast of Dragon Ball and just doesn't become useless hanging out at Kami House not doing anything. I always imagine like Master Roshi and Tien and everyone sitting around being like, "Hey, remember when we were useful? Remember when we used to do stuff?"
Hey, remember when those guys came and hid out on our island during the Cell games? That was cool.
Remember the Red Ribbon Army? Oh yes, I remember them. Remember Tao Pai Pai? Yeah, I remember him. Them's was the days. I'm totally paraphrasing a Dragon Ball Z abridged bit. I didn't come up with that. Oh, also, too, thank you everyone in the comment section when Matt and I were talking about this. Thank you for telling us that GT isn't canon anymore. You and I were arguing about it. It's not canon anymore, apparently.
Oh, good.
Yeah, good. Toriyama, I guess, came in and was like, nope, not canon anymore.
Yeah, slapped his dick around and said, "Not on my watch."
Not on my watch. Although it's funny, if you follow Toriyama, like his whole career of choices creatively were often always an end result of him fighting with editors and shit.
Oh, really?
That's the reason there's 4 sets of androids, where it's like, yeah, I'm going to have this old man and this fat, painted Russian doll as the villains of this arc. And the editor's like, really? Really? You're going to do, really? And he's like, okay, fine then. I'm going to kill them off early on and I'll have these 2 slick young punk androids. And the editor was like, really? Really? Now they're just 2 young really? Come on, Toriyama. You can do it. Fine, fuck, sell then. He's going to be a big, gross bug man who eats robots and gets a final form and has a tournament. How about that? So, yeah, that's apparently his whole career right there, just fighting with people.
Well, it worked out.
It's true. That's the thing. Sometimes the best of creativity comes from adversity. Sometimes you need people telling you and, like, second-guessing your ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
Hell, that's the reason my TV show reviews are in a podcast now, because people stopped listening to the solo reviews when I talked about one show individually. So the moral of this episode is be more like Toriyama, is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you can do nothing else. So I guess with that, everyone, we'll bring this show to a close for this week. Thank you all for listening, especially if it's your first time. Be sure to like, favorite, share around, do all that social media buzz. If you want to download the episode and carry it around with you, you can by heading on over to the Comic Multiverse Podbean, where you can find this show, and the Comic Multiverse, the other show that Matt and I do every week. That one's comic focused, not just comic TV focused. Any parting thoughts, Matt? What's coming out this week? Are you looking forward to anything this week?
TV wise, obviously we've got the return of the DC TV shows.
Yes, of course.
So we got Supergirl, which I'm really excited for. It's a Kevin Smith directed episode.
Oh shit! I might have to give that a look.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool, and I think Flash is the only other one that comes back as well.
I thought
I
Flash comes
think.
back at the end of the month.
Oh, really? So maybe only Supergirl. I thought they all came back in like the same week.
You would think. I mean, they're usually a couple episodes apart. Then again, it's also like the 21st as we record this, so it's basically the end of the month.
That's true.
So yeah, I mean, we'll definitely be looking at that show when it comes back, and you know, we'll move around. We'll move around the schedule for shows now that Sherlock is done and everything, and you know, now that Dragon Ball Super, we'll look back into that when something interesting happens. If one of those shows has like a week off or something. So yeah, that about does it for us, everyone. Down in the comment section below, be sure to remind us what your favorite thing in TV was from this week, what you're looking forward to next week, and yeah, until then, everybody, keep TV out. Bye bye.
See ya.